If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
So, life is the sum of the decisions we make. But which decisions? How am I supposed to know? Well, maybe a list will help. Some pros and some cons. List one. Finding the courage to do something new, okay? Cons. Well, it could be a waste of time. Could embarrass myself. Could lose money. Could get criticized. Pros. Could be life-changing. Finding the courage to go somewhere new. Okay, cons. Might not like where I go. Might not know how to get there. Might regret going. Pros. Could end up being the best decision I've ever made. Finding the courage to change myself. Okay, cons. Might not like who I become. Might try, fail, and feel worse than I did to begin with. It's possible. Pros, well, I might become exactly who I need to be. So looking at this, it essentially comes down to conserving the old or making the new. Maintaining or capturing the upside. But it doesn't quite delineate my problem. Okay, so different angle, list two. Finding the courage to do something new. If I fail, is it reversible? Yes. I can fail, and if I do, I'll simply go back to doing that which I had been doing. Alright, finding the courage to go somewhere new. If I don't like the destination, is it reversible? Yes. I can change my flights, grab a train, turn the car around, I decide where I go. Finding the courage to change myself. If I don't like the trajectory, is it reversible? Yes. If I don't like how I'm evolving, I can stop. I can start back at the beginning. Who you are is in your control, okay? So after two lists, the pros have immense upside and the cons, well, they have relatively minor downside and they are reversible. Meaning if I try something I've always wanted to try, go somewhere I've always wanted to go, become the person I've always wanted to be, things could fall apart. But the damage is more annoying than it is life-altering. It's not forever, it's fixable. On the other side, if I hit that home run, my life changes. My world evolves. What's possible expands. And it's not that I will, it's that I could. And doesn't everything start with could? A seed of possibility? An idea that plants roots and when merged with courage and action takes shape? Of course. But most importantly, this information in front of me tells me something pretty incredible. A story with few words and infinite meaning. The key that unlocks some of the most important doors to be opened. And it's this. Most of our inaction, most of our regret, most of our almosts come from cowering amidst possible outcomes that are reversible. Running from potential consequences that we could wipe clean like a dry erase board and try again. The downside, it pales in comparison to the upside. We're running from a slap on the wrist or the momentary anxiety associated with turning down the wrong street, right? That's the takeaway here. That's where the magic lies, not in the possibility that everything could work out, but the realization that if it doesn't, life moves right along. That contrary to the narrative so often making its home in the back of our minds, life has redos. You can screw up. You can reverse track and start again. The only action you can't fix is the one you never take. And well, I'm looking at this list and I just don't see any upside in that. Strong enough is all life asks of us. Strong enough to carry on. Strong enough to take an uncertain step forward. Strong enough to be better than we were yesterday. Everything starts with strong enough. The decision to make a single move towards an existence that is not yet yours. Not yet. But it's arguable that understanding it could be yours is a greater accomplishment than making it so. As the old Latin proverb states, once you've started, you're halfway there. Halfway, not because you found a shortcut or some previously undisclosed path, but because convincing yourself that you have everything you need is the greatest barrier to entry. It's the wall around the castle, and once you scale that, well, everything else works itself out with time. But life asks that we be strong enough to start the clocks. It asks that we have the strength to begin. See, because just as things start with strong enough, well, they could just as easily find their end there as well. How many journeys weren't started because we forgot that our responsibility wasn't to suddenly arrive at the destination, but rather find the courage to take a small step in that direction? How much of ourselves do we leave on the shelf because we forgot that transformation overnight wasn't the goal, but rather a trust in the process? The heart to paint a first stroke, make a first call, walk out the door strong enough can be an ending or a beginning. It's a fire that can enhance, it can nourish, or it can burn out. And that is perhaps the greatest question of our lives when the time approaches. When life demands more of us, will we only see the finish line, the mountaintops, the vastness of the terrain? Will we feel small and inadequate? Or will we remember that we are strong enough to advance, to push back against the chaos of life? And that's not only all that's required of us, but it's the key to everything worth doing, the start of transformation, the seeds of beauty, the foundation of impact. That is our challenge. Where some bow down to the impossible. You have to see it for what it is, the many possibilities that comprise it, the hope, the understanding that an improved existence is about having the strength not to change reality in one foul swoop, but to carry on, to take another step and see that as time unfolds, those steps become the blueprint to a better tomorrow. Those steps, that courage, that strength is everything you'll ever need. What's going on, guys? So today I want to talk about 6 mental shifts that completely transform my life. As Thoreau would say, it's not what you look at, it's what you see. And I'm a firm believer that the way we analyze, interpret, perceive the world around us directly correlates to the lives we lead and what we're capable of doing. And I want to talk about some of the ways that I changed the way I looked at life and got results back that helped me pivot, that helped me grow, helped me become more as a person, as a creator, as an entrepreneur. And hopefully you can take that and use it in your own lives as well. The caveat being, I don't want this to be interpreted as magic, right? This isn't you think something and it happens. It's not at all the case. What I'm advocating is when you think about something differently, you tend to then act differently. And when you act differently, well, the results are different, right? So it all starts with how you look at a situation. And that's what I'm advocating. We can look at the world in a way that puts us in position to win. Number one, and I'm sure this is no surprise to you guys, your external world is a product of your internal world. I grew up thinking that things just were the way they were. The parameters, the boundaries that I operated within, I never questioned. I never saw them as anything but what I thought they were supposed to be. And as I got older, I learned to take a step back and realize that things seem a certain way to me because I've allowed them to. I haven't questioned them. I haven't pushed back. It's not what happens, it's how you perceive what happens. Jim Rohn has a really cool story about two brothers that grow up, unfortunately in a very abusive family. They have an abusive dad. And they grow up and they have families of their own. And one is just as abusive to his kids. And he's asked about it and he says, yeah, of course I am. Like, how could I not be? Did you see what I went through as a child? And the other one is incredibly loving and caring with his kids. And when he's asked about it, he says, of course I am. Right? Did you see what I went through as a child? I'm not putting anybody through that. And to me, I thought that was just a beautiful articulation of the choice we have in life. We can't decide what happens to us, but we can always decide what we do about it, how we perceive it. And that's why I make this number one. It's kind of the gateway into a happier, healthier existence. Number two is that you are the captain of your ship. And this is important because a lot of people feel confined to their past, right? I like to say the wake of the boat does not drive the boat. Where you've been does not control where you go next. And sure, it's a part of you, and it's important to have gotten you to this moment, but it's not the future. And you're always free to make a change or do something new or go somewhere you haven't done before. It's amazing the obligation we feel to be who we were yesterday, and there's just no reason for it, right? Edward Norton once said, when I was doing some YouTube surfing, I found a pretty cool clip where he's talking about the importance of the shoes an actor wears. They become the most important part of the costume, the character, because everything starts from the ground up. And I like to think every morning when we open the closet, we have an opportunity to put on a new pair of shoes, to be a new character, to try something new, to jump into a world that we want to jump into. There's no reason to be fearful or hold ourselves back because of yesterday. Number three is joining the irrational few, as I like to call it. Being different, embracing your unique sense of self. As Robert Frost said, two roads diverged in a wood. I took the one least traveled by, and that made all the difference. And, I think that's the perfect metaphor for life. Everyone's going one way, and we innately want to go that way. But I think the most precious, powerful, life-changing decisions we make are when we do the exact opposite, when we find the parts of ourselves that are different, that are unique, that stand out. And instead of running from those, when we immerse ourselves in those things, man, we add value to ourselves and the world in a way that never would have happened if we didn't find that courage. And so that's what that shift has helped me understand, right? It's like the guitarist in his room practicing for 15 hours a day. He's an outcast, right? Cut off from society, doesn't get it, not doing X, Y, or Z. Then all of a sudden he writes this song that revolutionizes music, and he's a hero, and people want to be that and understand that and be a part of that. Well, why? Because he went through the trials and the tribulations associated with taking that path or road least traveled by. I'd advocate that for anyone. Explore, try things. Test life, that's what it's there for. Number 4 is dance before the music plays, and this one's near and dear to my heart, right? Because you do the first 3. You understand the power of your world within. You become the captain of your ship. You join the irrational few, but it's like, now what, right? The real world is a tough place, and you realize that, you're on this journey, and you have to will your results into existence. You have to dance before you hear the music, because here's the reality. And we all learn this at one point or another. No one walks up to you on the street and puts their arm around you and says, hey kid, that dream you have, keep going. That's gonna happen. I believe that. That's just not the reality. People only believe what they see, and they won't see it until you create it. Right? And so it's bridging that gap between your idea and the manifestation of that idea. You have to hear the song when no one else does. You have to believe it. And if you do that, it helps understand that there will be lows and there will be highs. That's part of life. But it doesn't mean it's over or you've gone the wrong route or the wrong path or the world's against you. No, it means this is life. And if you want something bad enough, this is what you have to endure, and you're willing to, because you hear that song, you're moving towards it, and you will show the world what's up when the time comes. Number 5 is what I refer to as staying awake while the world sleeps. And what do I mean by this? Well, it's the idea that the biggest things we can do, they're not the grand slams or grandiose displays of excellence. They're just not. They're consistent displays of discipline and courage and saying yes when most would say no. W. Clement Stone put it nicely when he says, big doors swing from little hinges. And so it's not looking at the little things as nuance or unimportant noise. No, the little things are everything. Separating your time. I remember Kobe talking about, a certain amount of hours he gets up and shoots every day when most people don't. Over the course of a year, over the course of 10 years, it becomes so much in the aggregate that other players can't catch up. It's just too much of an advantage. And that's what it's about. I wrote my TEDx talk about something called running in the rain, which is about embracing that discomfort. It's like opening the door in the morning in Boston. It's freezing, sleety rain, and you could easily go inside and run later. Or you can grab a beanie and a coat and run now. And it doesn't seem important at the time, but it's everything at the time. Because when you learn to say yes to those little discomforts, it moves beyond that run. It goes into every aspect of your life, and it's like you see yourself as someone who embraces adversity, someone who capitalizes on those little advantages. And over years, man, they're not little. They become big. They become important. So, run in the rain. And number 6, see life as a game. It's just not as serious as we make it out to be. This is something, by the way, that's not easy to follow through with or understand. I tell myself this every single day of my life. But when I'm cognizant of this, I'm happier and I'm more productive. I do believe wholeheartedly that this is the key to happiness, to impact, to everything worth having, is understanding that life is not a checklist. It's not a standardized test. It is a game. I was sitting down, this is a life-changing experience. I've written about it before on this channel, with some very successful, wealthy people at this table in Los Angeles that, most of them came from nothing. And I'm sitting there, soaking it all in as the YouTuber at the end of the table. And it's like the commonality between all of them was that it's like, what can I do? What can I make? Oh, I failed here. What did I learn? What can I do tomorrow? What would be fun? What does the world need? They're not operating from a place of fear. And again, these people weren't born millionaires. This mindset created the world that they have today. One of them was an immigrant from Iran, came here with nothing. It's like, you see the importance. One of my good friends, Zach, as a kid that walks around his living room and just pokes things, picks things up, sometimes breaks them, changes them, moves them around, uses them to make forts, tents, does all these things. But it's like, that is life. That's what life should be. We should be walking around exploring, testing, trying things, growing, not worried about protecting and maintaining the little universe we have, but giving everything to expanding that universe and just seeing what we can make. I'm convinced that's where the magic is, and that's why it's number 6. Life is a game. So hey, I hope this helps you see something maybe a little bit differently, and most importantly, act on that perception. Never forget, you're always one decision away from a totally different life, and that could start right now. Talk to you guys later. Being lost is not about what you don't have. It's about temporarily forgetting what you do have. Forgetting that contained within every dark room is a little light switch that hangs within an arm's reach. And see, the reason this is so powerful, the reason it's been so important to me, is because every time I'm in a lull or navigating a low point like we all do, I remember something that acts as that hand to pull me back up. I remember that everything I need, I have. See, I used to use the word stuck as to imply immobility, being powerless to the outside world, when in reality, I just had to remind myself that the path to recreation is always in front of me. And the map needed to navigate is always folded up in my back pocket. In essence, what I learned is that helpless is not a situation. Helpless is a decision. And one I'd simply never choose. Life's challenges, they are not a display of your insufficiencies. No, they are a reminder of just how powerful you are. If you never let yourself fall, hit a low, or lose your way, you'd never get to see the miracle that is your resiliency. You'd never get to look in the mirror and see the reflection that is the conqueror of worlds and the slayer of dragons. You'd never get to climb the mountain from which you'd ultimately look down and see a world of your making. We wait. We hope. We wish, we imagine. But because what we have is safer than what we don't, we do not act. It's the wall standing before us, stacked 1,000 feet high of what ifs, of worst case scenarios, failed expectations. We look up at what can be while living a life that is simply good enough. We rationalize. If we make a point to stop thinking about all the possibilities, things seem all right. But we know deep down in our souls that there's more. That things are only out of reach because the mind has convinced the body that they're not worth reaching for. And this not only limits, but it denies us the very thing we need most, whether we know it or not, and that's the journey. Something worth fighting for. Something bigger than what we are. It's the missed opportunity that is tragic, never the failed expedition. But we have to be honest. We have to recognize that it's one worth taking. that we're capable of so much more. And to convince ourselves that anything less is acceptable, sufficient, or worthy of our time is wrong. We need that leap of faith. The jump is in our DNA, crafting and defining our potential and transforming the possible into the real.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.